Hey everyone, it's Aaron here from Rudy Visuals. Hope you're all doing well and keeping safe. In today's video, we're talking all about the Sony 70-200 F2.8 G master lens for full frame mirrorless Sony E-mount cameras. So this is going to be our long-term non-scientific review of having used, owned and loved this lens for over the past year. So we've pretty much used this on pretty much every photo shoot that we've had over the past 12 months. So we've gotten to know this lens pretty well, and there is now actually a newer version of this lens, the G Master 2. So we'll discuss a little later on how they compare. Okay, I'm just gonna put the lens down here for a second because my God, it is heavy to hold. And before we get into the nitty gritty, it's important to remember who a lens like this is designed for. It's basically a workhorse professional lens, you know, designed for working professionals and also for, I guess, serious enthusiasts with very deep pockets. This is, or technically it was, you know, Sony's flagship premium lens. And one of these will set you back about £1,900 here in the UK for a new one. So if you are just starting out or you are on a budget, then don't buy this lens. There are definitely better bang for your buck and general all-purpose lenses that would probably suit you better. However, if you do fit into the aforementioned categories, you know, dare I say it, a 70-200 it's kind of an essential lens. So no matter what system you're shooting on, whether you're a Sony, Canon, Nikon shooter, you know, you kind of need a 70-200 for certain things. So with that being said, here's a very quick show reel of some of our favorite shots captured with this lens, paired up with the Sony a7 III and a7R III, as well as some video samples as well. So what did you think of the samples? Let us know in the comments section below. And by the way, if you are new here, consider hitting that subscribe button to see more reviews, more tutorials, and more general good stuff. Anyway, now I know £1,900 is a lot of money regardless of who you are, but one thing I would say is that lenses like these, you know, they do retain their value very, very well. So if you ever decide to sell it on or perhaps upgrade or move on to another system, for example, you know, it's worth bearing that in mind. It's also the kind of lens that is also going to earn you money as well. So you can kind of think of a lens like this as kind of like an investment. It also completely justifies its price tag with its build quality. I mean, as you can see, it really is just a tank of a lens. It is extremely solid. It almost feels like military grade. It does weigh almost 1.5 kilograms though, so it's not the easiest lens to carry around. You will definitely get a workout shooting with this lens. You of course also get weather and dust sealing, so it's absolutely no problem taking this lens out in the rain, snow and other types of harsh and challenging environments. In terms of the design and ease of use, although at first glance it kind of looks like a very intimidating looking lens, it's actually pretty simple and easy to use. You have a rubberized focus ring, a zoom ring, an AF/MF switch, focus limiter switch, an optical steady shot switch, and a mode switch, which in case you don't know, just lets you switch between a sort of standard IS mode for general shooting and a panning optimized mode. You also get these 3 programmable buttons which you can configure and set within your camera, although to be honest, I've never actually used them. You may also notice that this comes in what I like to call superior smug white, as a lot of 70-200 lenses do come in. There is actually a scientific reason for this. The white apparently helps to keep the lens cool, although I think it's kind of more of a great marketing tool as well that makes people instantly impressed when you see that big white lens from a distance. One thing I do love about this lens though, from a design point of view, is the fact that when zooming in and out, the lens doesn't actually extend or retract, and it's also par-focal, meaning it doesn't lose focus as you change the zoom range, which can be handy for both photo and video. Now in terms of the optical design, the lens has 23 elements in 18 groups, has 11 rounded diaphragm blades designed to produce smooth, lush looking bokeh, more on this later, and the filter thread size of the lens is 77mm. You also get this tripod collar which can be removed and also adjusted depending on how you need to mount the camera. And the minimum focusing distance is 96 centimeters, which is just about 3 feet. So the lens hood is also huge, but is also felt lined to help reduce flaring, which is a little nice touch. So moving on, the focal length alone for me is one of the strong suits of this lens. A 70-200 just gives you a lot of versatility, and it's no surprise to see 70-200 lenses being used by, you know, all kinds of professionals, from portrait shooters, wedding shooters, photojournalists, sports and motorsports shooters, wildlife, landscape shooters, just due to its versatility. And as primarily a portrait shooter myself, I love just how easy it was to get, you know, great looking headshots. Then you can just zoom out a bit and get some upper body shots, and then zoom out even further to get those full body shots. I honestly never really needed to change lenses on a portrait shoot. I could just go, you know, get it all with this one single lens. It is also amazing to have a maximum aperture of f2.8 on a 70-200 lens, especially at the longer focal lengths. So not only does that mean excellent low light performance, but it also means you can just, you know, absolutely obliterate those backgrounds into those kind of dreamy, ultra smoothness, and you get that really amazing subject and background separation. For me, it's just perfect for portraiture for that reason, and results in just some really stunningly smooth bokeh. Though for you nitpickers out there, the bokeh balls do get a bit more lemon shaped towards the edges of the frames, but all in all, this is just a beast when it comes to bokeh and background blur. And I also particularly love the look of this lens at 200mm at f2.8. And as for the image quality, I mean, honestly, you've already seen some of the photo samples, and I think they pretty much just speak for themselves. You're spending nearly, you know, enough $2,000, and you're getting pretty much $2,000 worth of image quality, you know, i.e. just stunningly sharp images, corner to corner, and excellent contrast throughout the focal and aperture ranges. If we pixel peep and zoom into some of these sample photos, you will see just how much detail is being captured. I mean, look at the texture on the skin and in the clothing, the sharpness in the eyes. The level of detail really is stunning, and the corner sharpness is also excellent, making this a wonderful lens for things like landscape photography. The lens also has a nano AR coating, which helps suppress things like reflections, flare, and ghosting, and typical issues like chromatic aberrations, you know, and distortion, vignetting are all extremely well controlled and pretty much non-existent in this lens. Likewise, auto performance is also just as impressive. I mean, it is blazing fast. I mean, no matter how fast you're shooting, as soon as you point that square on something, it pretty much snaps with serious speed. And that also means super reliable autofocus, no matter what your subject is. So for us shooting mostly slow and still subjects, you're pretty much 100% guaranteed perfect focus every time. And the IAF and the face detector worked fantastically well with both our A7 III and R3. But even when shooting really fast subjects, you're still going to get a good majority of your shots in sharp focus. So if you check out this reel here, you'll see as I was sprinting back and forth to and away from the camera, about 90% of our shots were in focus. So if you do plan to shoot sports with this and other fast subjects, it's reassuring to know that this is a really fast focusing lens. We did shoot some drifting cars a few months ago, and it performed extremely well here. And as you can see, you got some great shots in sharp focus. Now, lenses tend to suffer in low light situations when it comes to autofocus, but the 70-200 honestly performed just as well in low light as it did in the day. So we photographed a touch rugby session a few months ago, and it was around about sunset. We had the ISO bumped up to around 6,400, and it still nailed focus, and it didn't feel any different from shooting in the day. And as you can see from these shots here, they look great as well. And of course, it helps immensely that you get 5-axis image stabilization built right into the lens, which helps you achieve blur-free images and retain subject focus even at slower shutter speeds, or when you're running around trying to shoot a fast subject. The IS also makes this kind of a great lens for video as well. It is a little bit too big and heavy, in my opinion, to be like an everyday video lens, but for times when you just need some close-ups or some detail shots, or you need like a really shallow depth of field, the 70-200 has actually been a surprisingly decent and actually really useful lens for us for video work as well. Now, as I mentioned at the start of this video, there is now a version 2 of this lens, which features an improved minimum focusing distance, some extra mode features, marginally improved image quality, and an improved autofocusing system as well. And apparently is crucially 30% lighter, which to me is probably the biggest selling point, because my only real downside of the 70-200 that we have here, besides the price, is just how heavy and tiring it is to shoot with this. For me, that would make the newer version worth choosing over this one if I ever lost this lens, for example. However, it is also £700 more expensive and doesn't seem to be in stock anywhere here in the UK. So I definitely don't regret getting this lens, and I don't feel like, you know, I was shortchanged when I found out that there was a newer version, you know, about 6 months ago. It is really down to you whether the improvement and lightness is worth the extra £700. For me personally, I can't really justify that, you know, upgrading for that lens and then getting rid of this one. But personally, if you do go for a Mark 1 over a Mark 2, I think you're still going to absolutely love this lens regardless and save a large chunk of change as well. So bottom line, the Sony 70-200 GM lens Mark 1 is an absolutely fantastic lens. It still is a fantastic lens, and it completely justifies its steep price tag. It is a professional workhorse lens that is going to produce some very stunning images for you. Due to its price, it's definitely not a lens I would recommend to everyone, but for semi-pros and professionals and prosumer enthusiasts who have a need for something like this, then look no further. This is the answer to all your problems. You know, I've loved this lens from day one, and I pretty much can't live without it, despite it treating me really badly and tiring me the F out. I do love this lens. Anyway guys, that's gonna do it for this video. Let us know if you're using a 70-200 lens, or if you're not, what is your favorite lens to use? Let us know down there. And if you've got any questions or anything like that, leave them down there in the comment section below. If you enjoyed this video, hit that like button, subscribe to see more, and of course you can also follow us on the socials. And as always, I'll see you on the next video. Thanks again for watching. Peace.